Nate, have you noticed that in this day and age, churches seem to burst into flames from time to time? They just seem to spontaneously combust. That spontaneous church combustion is just a phenomenon of the 21st century now. Seemed like we went for centuries, literally centuries, without exaggeration, where stone churches didn't spontaneously combust. But now, in the 2010s and the 2020s, all over Europe actually, and quite a lot in Canada and America as well. Churches, Christian churches, will just spontaneously combust. There was one just happened yesterday, or was it even earlier today, in a little place called Harleston. Sleepy little town, sleepy little village in Norfolk, I believe. Lovely little 19th century church there. Just burst into flames. Just burst into flames. One thing I will say about this phenomenon of completely spontaneous church combustion is that it seems, if you only listen to the mainstream legacy media, like the BBC, for example, that there really is no explanation for it. It's spontaneous. In fact, it's not even that. We won't even talk about whether it was spontaneous or not. It was just a fact. It was just something that happened. And any discussion of how it happened, or any talk of an investigation into how it might have happened, or if it was deliberate or arson in any way, any question of discussing that is entirely off the table. So in this little article here, I thought it was particularly interesting, revealing, or symptomatic. In this little article, they talk about how it was really terrible. Local people came out and it was like this church is not just for Sunday service. There's all sorts. It's like acts as a food bank on certain days and acts as a community centre in like all the time, and it's a centre of their little community, and it's an important place for them. And of course, it's a 19th century piece of heritage as well. And thankfully, the fire brigade did get there quick enough where the roof didn't entirely catch. And so, although seems like a really bad fire and the inside of the church is completely gutted and destroyed, the entire thing didn't actually burn down to the ground and like needs to be demolished because it's just an unsafe building now. So anyway, and they're hoping that they can raise a bit of money and like, repair it and stuff. And that's it. That's the article. Nothing about how the fire started. Nothing. What do you think about that? See this, because this happens quite regularly, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, it's a fascinating phenomenon, isn't it? How a stone church, quite robust stone as well, might I add, because they don't make them like they used to. These churches that have been there for centuries, untouched. It's quite amazing that they just suddenly start combusting now.
I mean, usually the laws of physics would require some sort of accelerant, wouldn't they? Usually, you would think. What do I know?
Quite a large accelerant for stone, really. Being the predominant thing there. Yeah, I mean, look, I think this, it's disgusting, really. Quite sick of it, really. I think it's awful. It's truly awful. The gaslighting, the sort of lies by omission, is just staggering. And this part sort of shone out to me a little bit. It's kind of like a sign of God's presence in the community. That would be so offensive to a certain subsection of this multi-culti society we've developed here, wouldn't it? Really, it's kind of like a sign of God's presence in the community. The church has been here for ages and ages. Well, it has. I mean, it's
the beautiful. Christians' God presence in their community.
Oh yes, Sorry.
Right. So that's why.
Yeah.
That's why it might be a problem to some non-Christians. I mean, we're both non-Christian, aren't we? I've said a number of times, I know you said a number of times, we're not practicing Christians. However,
Yep.
I have also said a number of times, anyone that's ever watched any of my history themed content, is that I'm absolutely we are raised in part of the Christian tradition. Our country is a Christian country. We're absolutely raised in the Christian tradition. Just because I don't necessarily accept things like the miracles Jesus was supposed to have performed in Galilee in the 1st century. Okay, just because I don't accept that, right? For example, so I'm not a true Christian. However, you will find it difficult to find a non-Christian who loves a church and a cathedral and an abbey as much as me. I love them as part of my history and my heritage. Okay, I've not been baptized, but that doesn't mean that I don't consider these precious gems, jewels, our heritage in stone and slate. So valuable, and to see them burn down. I mean, I wrote an article a few years ago now when I was relatively new at Lotus Eaters, and it was a few years ago, and already then it was a phenomenon to be noticed. There you go, spontaneous church combustion by B.B. Dade, February 2023, where in that I mention, in passing at least, the Notre-Dame fire, which did completely set ablaze the roof and the spire, the timber, the medieval original timbers of Notre-Dame, a true symbol of sort of Frenchness. It's like it would be like St Paul's Cathedral or Westminster Abbey, something like that, burning down.
It's funny, isn't it? So just to interject real quick, I mean, I'm not a practicing Christian. I'm not interested in it. Don't believe in it. However, you know, I've spent many a school trip and so on and so forth, heading out to churches, singing hymns, and you know, attending these kind of things, and raised in that environment. And you know, I mean, I think that they're beautiful. I think they need to be protected, looked after, and cherished. And also, part of being English is obviously, you know, being raised with that as the environment. But we also hate the French. But even being a non-practicing or not a non-believer English that hates the French, even I wouldn't dream of doing anything quite as grotesque as, you know, combustion of the Notre-Dame, because even that still needs to be protected.
Yeah,
it does raise questions about what's potentially maybe going on here, doesn't it?
I've been inside Notre-Dame Cathedral before the fire 2 or 3 times, and again, even though I'm not a Christian, that was a wonderful space, a truly wonderful space. I mean, I studied early Christianity at uni, being a history nerd, particularly European history and things. Of course, I know a great deal about it. I've read the Bible. I've read the Gospels more than once. I reread the book of John, the Gospel of John, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, just because it's interesting, just because it's part of our history and culture and things. So even though, once again, to say, even though I'm not a Christian, I'm one of those non-Christians who is still knows quite a lot about Christianity and is perfectly comfortable with Christian art. Like I can go to, I don't want to blow my own trumpet here. This is not an exercise in blowing my own trumpet. I just want to say, I can go into a museum or a gallery and see the Christian art, the Christian iconography, and understand it. I was in a church just at the weekend, and I was looking at the stained glass and saying, "Oh, look, that's a part of the Passion. That's John the Baptist over there. That's whatever. That's Doubting Thomas." And trying to read the inside of a church. I love that. I love that sort of thing. So to see our churches across Europe and the United States and Canada spontaneously combust is in and of itself, of course, a terrible, terrible crime and sickening. But to see our media, our legacy mainstream corporate media, yeah, you hit it perfectly on the head, on the nail on the head there, Nick, when you said liars by omission. Yeah, again, the elephant in the room. They're simply not going to talk about it honestly.
Mm.
They're not going to. I mean, to this day, if you try and find out what happened at Notre-Dame when it burnt down, even on like the Wikipedia page and stuff, it will be, we don't really know. We think maybe there was a cigarette, maybe one of the workmen might have been an electrical failure, and we don't know. Anyway, here's a link to the project to rebuild it. Don't worry about what really happened. Don't worry about how it happened, the exact circumstances, or who might have been responsible, or why. Don't worry about any of that. Just move on. Yeah, we can't live like this. We can't live like this forever. Again, this conversation needs to be had.